All right. Hello and welcome to Inverticast Season 2. This is the very first episode that we are doing for Season 2, obviously. And we have Simon from the Mantis Garden, as usual.
Hello.
Myself, Leah from Tarantulia, of course. And we have Tyler Kirk from the Spider Shop. Hello, Tyler.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. We're so happy you could join us.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here with you guys. Appreciate the invitation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you accepting for sure. And I will say it was also a lot of fun meeting you in person here in Denver. Actually, I think it was Castle Rock at the uh, all American Plant and Reptile Expo. That was cool.
Yeah, that was a good show. That was fun.
Good, I'm
Yeah.
glad.
I was wondering if you got to that.
Oh yeah.
I saw it and I thought, I wonder if you've gone to that. It's like, would it been there?
Yeah, it was definitely a good show, and I really appreciated seeing more plant vendors and like all the reptile vendors, and there were quite a few tarantula and invert vendors too. So it was fantastic. It was a good show. I agree. It was hard for us getting there because it was snowing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and it was a trek from Denver. It's about 45 minutes or so to get to Castle Rock. Um, but it was well worth it. Absolutely. Okay, so
I think
let's I'll jump in, and we got a question for Tyler. I was wondering, how did you start Spider Shop? How did you get like started with tarantulas, and how did it all happen?
yeah. I was keeping tarantulas as a hobby first of all, and I think it was not long before I started breeding them. There's a local here in my area that I found on Craigslist, which is Simon. It's kind of like this message board, I guess, or maybe you guys have Craigslist too. But uh, he posted that he had tarantulas for sale, and I had maybe 10 at the time, and I went over to see, what he was offering for sale online, and he, in his house was just like lined with walls. The walls were lined with shelves of tarantulas, kind of like Simon's wall behind him there. and and yeah, he took me in, open door, taught me everything, encouraged me to breed, and so I was like breeding early on, and had enough luck, where I would sell off the babies and buy more spiders, sell off the babies, buy more spiders, breeding females and things. And yeah, I was working as a counselor in a methadone clinic and was working towards my master's degree in mental health. And I had, I had tarantulas, and I figured that I'd just make this website. And I remember at the time being like so nervous or afraid to like put myself out there in that way. Like I didn't know what I thought I had to lose, but I paid for the Shopify, and I spent a bunch of time uploading all these pictures and prices and designing the website and all that stuff. And 3 months after I started the website, I had enough sales that had more income from the website than I did from my job, so um, things weren't really going how I wanted and at work anyways. And so I was happy to put in my resignation. Um, and I haven't looked back since. That's 3 years ago now. Um, and just been blessed, yeah, with how things have worked out with the business. I've tried to replicate it with other businesses, do the Google ads, promote on Facebook, offer good, decent prices. I have not been able to replicate the success that Spider Shop has seen, so I wish I had the magic to every business working out like Spider Shop has, but that's just not the case. Yeah. So,
That's cool. That is really, really cool because it sounds very familiar to kind of what I've been doing with my tarantulas, I mean, I haven't really been breeding. I will occasionally send out like a mature male, like I just did with Gavin from Ghosties Tarantulas, and he has my male Cereopagus flavitum. So, or are they Kilobrachys or Cereopagus? I can never remember. Sometimes is it Kilobrachys? What do I know?
No, it's the cobalt blue, right?
Yeah, cobalt blue.
Yeah, Cereopagus. Yeah.
Okay, so I was right. Over here, second guessing myself. Craziness.
Is that the one took over to Tennessee?
Yeah.
Was it Tennessee? Yeah. See, I didn't listen. Yeah.
Yep. I sent that over to actually, I believe Kentucky.
How's it going? That is it like? Did it
work? He did really well. As far as I know, he paired up with the female real good, and then Gavin had a friend who also needed him, so he survived and went, and he was with a friend, and as far as I know, he's still doing okay. We're just waiting for the female to hopefully drop a sack. She's taking her sweet time, so.
Yeah.
What do you know, right?
That species has been pretty reliable for me in the past, getting them bred and then that they produce. I don't remember having much problems with that species.
Oh, nice.
Easier to breed,
Good to know.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Okay, so that opens up a whole nother question: is what's your favorite species to breed, if you have one?
This is a difficult question. I get
it's
asked
a tough one.
A lot. Yeah. Favorite tarantula or favorite thing to breed. That's I mean, I had a group of the Celedonia recently. I think I had 7 adult females, and
awesome.
Of course, I'm looking at things that are maybe a little more valuable to breed. I definitely don't have the space to keep 5 and 6 females of 100 plus species. That's not really my focus anymore. But yeah, most recently, I guess that would be Celedonia, right? It's trying to pump out a bunch of those.
Yeah, definitely. They're kind of a rare commodity in the States, so.
Are they easy to do? Oh.
Yeah, the first few times we had luck, and it seems like they're hard to raise, fragile, but then when they're big, they're easy, it seems to be. But nice. We ended up with like 2 or 3 dud egg sacs, which was disappointing. And so I decided to sell the females, forget this, which was disappointing. Yeah. I think we had 2 bad sacks, and 1 sack had like two babies that made it.
Oh, wow.
Being there with mantles. Yeah. I think I'll give them a miss. I don't know if we've got any of those. Maybe not. I don't know.
The Typhoclena Celedonia, that's definitely a dream spider for me. I don't have one yet. But I will say that I did have an order from Spider Shoppe recently, and I got another dream species, which is the Cimaroxagorum birupes, or Birupes cimaroxagorum. Very cool tarantula, absolutely. Like they're so pretty when they're adults. Mine is still just a little tiny guy, but I've got him in a cute little vial like this that he's already been burrowing like a beast, so it's perfect. I love it. And I'm really lucky that I live real close to a reptile store that always has like little tiny pinhead crickets, so I can feed them tiny little pinhead crickets, and they're live, and that way they get kind of that feel. So it's good. I love it. I really like that species. And then I also have the Salmopus victori, and that's another species that before I didn't really have very good luck with them, and I think I was just overwatering or just keeping them too moist or something, because now the one that I have from Spider Shoppe has really been thriving, so I'm super thrilled about that.
Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I still need to finish that video, but I will. It's on the list. So I actually just recently got back, a couple of days ago, because I was on a trip and I was in Minnesota, visiting family and stuff. And it's quite a bit more humid there than it is here in Denver, and green and lush and wonderful. And I saw actual fireflies.
Wow.
For the first time in my life, I actually saw them for real, because they're not here in Colorado. And so yeah, it was definitely an experience. But you had a recent trip to Peru,
Wow.
and you got to hang out with Tom Patterson and Richard Stewart.
Yeah, that was a treat. That was awesome for
Yeah.
sure.
Can you talk a little bit about what Peru is like? And
Yeah, what exactly maybe would you want to hear about?
um
Where in
essentially
Peru
just
did
like
you go?
What's that, Simon?
Where in Peru did you go? Because it's a big
Oh,
place.
we flew into Lima, which is on the coast, kind of bigger city, and then we flew to Cusco the next day,
oh wow.
which is southeast, and it's kind of highlands, high elevation. Not all that much to see, kind of bare mountain hillsides, a little bit of grass and rocks, and not areas with not much for trees. Of course, we went down into the cloud forest, which is a little lower elevation, and there's lush, big philodendron leaves, rainforest looking, environment. But that was just a brief snippet of our tour there. Most of it was highlands and fog and cold, and it was crazy. We'd be on the hillside, and then some Peruvian woman would walk over the top of the hill and walk down and want to sell us some like bracelets or something, and then she disappears again. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where she came from.
Where she went. Yeah.
Well, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely like my eyes were opened by, there's still people with like mud brick houses and no electricity and no plumbing out in the, rural Peru.
Wow.
Just kind of amazed at the lifestyle. I hear kids walk like 2 hours to school and 2 hours home after school.
Wow.
And we definitely saw that kids in the middle of nowhere walking down the road. And then something else that stuck out was dogs. Like, there's dogs on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. And we went down the same road, one day, went down the road the next day, and the same dogs will be there like 100 feet apart. Like, they're all, I don't know if they depend on drivers to feed them or why they're there, but it was strange. Yeah, in the middle of nowhere, there's just dogs every so often on the side of the road.
That's fascinating.
I must ask, did you see any tarantulas while you was there?
Did I see tarantulas?
Mm.
Oh yeah. We were there for the tour was 10 days, and we saw probably 15 species of tarantula while we were there. Super impressed with the tarantulas. We saw a lot of tarantulas while we were there. A lot of the Haplotremus, and there seems to be a lot of like local variations. Our tour guide was saying, Haplotremus vilcanota or Haplotremus CF vilcanota, so like most closely resembles vilcanota, but there's a few different, like the one carapace was all white, and the rest of the spider the same, and then one carapace white with a black triangle, and one carapace white with a black circle in the middle. So like these minor variations as we go from one mountain to the next or one valley to the next. Stuff we don't, either it's undescribed or really don't know what they are. Some stuff even he's saying he'd never seen himself before.
Wow.
Yeah. The selling point for me on the tour guide was that he spent time with Rick West and some of their taxonomists. Like, he took Rick West around and collected material for the Haplotremus paper that came out recently. So we saw some of the same places that the taxonomists did when they were doing their research in the Haplotremus. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. Are any of the Haplotremus species like available in the hobby right now, or are they still? Kind of.
They're definitely not common. One that was available some years ago was Haplotremus albipes or albeeps. It's dwarf. I think they were around briefly. I don't I don't really know anybody with them right now, but they're around before. And then actually a few months back from Europe, we had these Theraphosinae species Inca Gold,
Mm.
and kind of a bland picture, a spider that needed a molt. The picture was not a great shot or representation of the spider. But while we were there and we were posting them, there was a European that contacted me and said, "Hey, like, you have those on your store." And I didn't even realize that the spider we were oohing and on over on the hillside was a spider that I already had in my store.
Oh, wow.
It was just that the photo wasn't great, and so when he pointed it out, I was like, okay, that makes sense, and he sent me pictures of the juveniles and the adult, which looked just like the ones we were seeing. And so, yeah, that one's, Haplotremus Inca Gold. So that's available.
Very cool, because I believe that it was listed as a Theraphosinae. So it's a Haplotremus, so that's good to know.
Yeah. At first, I guess they didn't know or wasn't sure, but by the time I posted it, they were calling it Haplotremus. And which makes sense. That's what was in the area where we were looking, the elevation and that's what we kept seeing was Haplotremus. So,
how cool.
I mean, there was some kickback on one of my posts saying, "Oh, you don't know for sure it's Haplotremus. It's not. You're not examining the palpal bulbs. If you're not sure, don't call it that." Which they have a good point. So it's not 100% Haplotremus, but
sure.
Likely, I think. Yeah.
Sure. That's really cool, though. I mean, was it very hard? Like, was it very difficult while you were in Peru to find tarantulas, or was it like I walk 10 feet and lift a rock and there it is?
Mostly that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we got into town, or we got into a place where we were staying, and we went across the street and we're looking on the hillside and we're finding things on the hillside,
Cool.
juvenile, and find an adult 20 feet down the road on the hillside. But our guide, the guide took us to these locations, and we'd get out of the car and we'd flip some rocks and they'd be there one after the other, There's only one place we went that it was kind of hard. It was an undescribed Haplotremus, kind of this greenish bronze shimmer to it. And this is the one that we spent quite a bit of time on the hillside and only found a couple of them. So that was like the rarest one or the hardest one to find.
Wow, I can imagine. How beautiful. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was almost like losing the excitement kind of was waning, it's like we've seen so many, like it's like which is, I mean, it's like, oh, it's another spider. Like,
Do you see other stuff?
Yeah, we saw these little lizards. They kind of looked to me like a skink almost, and they were kind of slow, not like the lizards I find in California. They bolt when they run from you. These guys sit on your hand, and then we found a couple snakes. They're a colubrid, little, maybe 18-inch or so.
I think I saw a picture that you posted on your Facebook about the snake that you found, or one of the snakes, and it actually looked almost like a rainbow boa. But if it was that small, it was probably a little rat snake or something.
I found the snake first, and then I didn't touch it because I didn't, just scared of potentially venomous or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
so it got away, and I told the group, "Oh, I got away. I don't know if I should have grabbed it or not." And they didn't know what it was based on my description. And then Tom Patterson came across another one, and he picked it up by the tail, and he's yelling to the guide, "Is it venomous? Is it venomous? Is it venomous?"
That sounds like Tom.
Yeah.
From what I know, I don't know. How fun is that? So was Tom Patterson very he sounds like he's really adventurous and just not afraid to get into things and is that accurate, would you say?
Yeah, he was, a lot of the times the first person to find a spider. He was at the top of the hill before the rest of us.
Wow.
He was definitely out there getting it, while we were out there. Yeah, he did, he was talking about I'll sleep when I get home, I'll take a break when we get home. He was all gung ho for getting out and finding more stuff. And he really enjoys his collection of like photography or like taking pictures of everything, right? He likes to have his own pictures.
Mhm.
And so he was excited to add to his photo collection, taking pictures of all the different things. So yeah, it's cool to hear his input on different things, and it was great to spend time with him. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. It just sounds so cool. Like he seems like a really fun, interesting dude. Hardcore.
Yeah.
That's what Gavin in here. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Oh, he's so Tom Patterson here in the States, he's a breeder, so he's also got his own website called Hardcore Arachnids.
Yeah,
But
now I know
he's
who you're talking about. Okay,
no,
I've got
oh,
you.
you do now?
I do
Okay.
know. I remember Tarantula Cat getting
Oh
some
yeah.
off him. Yeah, I remember him sending her some spiders. I had no idea who he was. I'm also sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. You're good, Simon. I appreciate it. No worries. I go ahead.
He's old timer. He's been doing it for 20 plus years. He was always somebody I looked up to, and he was always open, like to answer questions about husbandry or breeding and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. He was always really generous with his time or his feedback. Willing to give feedback to everybody. Really nice guy.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that because he seems like he's really kind of goofy and just like a lot of fun. And I would love to meet him for sure. I haven't met him, so um, so what? Oh, so moving on. Another awesome member of your party was Richard Stewart. What is he like in real life?
Yeah, I was nervous to meet Richard, but we seem to get along really well. I think he had some, how do I say, maybe hesitation about traveling,
Okay.
being out of the country. I think he was really looking into like some of the politics and the crime that happens, that kind of thing. He was really, I think, maybe guarded might be the right word. And of course,
he had some reservations.
Yeah, and then doesn't speak any of the language. So I think he did a lot of research before the trip. But I mean he I'm afraid that he had a little bit maybe more work to do while he was there than the rest of us. A lot of us were there enjoying getting photos, and he was lugging around his camera gear, the whole time.
Yeah.
And so you get out of the car and he's got to get his cameras ready and his lenses, and he's got he asked me to carry his camera a couple of times, and that thing's like on a big, it might have been 15 or 20 pounds. It seemed like his camera, and so he's carrying that up the sides of the hill. And
wow.
But he was thrilled to be there and having a good time. So it was cool to.
That is cool.
Just to support, and to be a part of the behind the scenes. I'm really looking forward to the videos that he puts out. I was so impressed, man. I went to Pittsburgh to meet him for the first time, and he's like, "Oh, I want to do a video." And so he brought his camera to Pittsburgh. He got me on camera a little bit, and then he took off for it seemed like he filmed for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, "Aren't you gonna film? Aren't you gonna do some video?" And what he was able to come up with the amount of like footage that he got was just like totally impressive to me. He's like, so it's cool to learn about his methods for his videos. And I guess he says that, it's easier for him to kind of keep it, he doesn't want to overwhelm himself with footage. right? He doesn't want to
Okay.
get an hour's worth of footage and have to sort through it all. So it was, yeah, it was cool to see the, his strategy or his plans, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, he makes these videos that are just so well done and just incredibly beautiful and amazing. I mean, he kind of inspired me to do the same, but I'm nowhere near his level. Like he is just he's phenomenal, very talented. So I can imagine that, he takes himself very seriously. So that's
yeah,
cool. That's really cool
yeah.
to hear.
There's the part of the trip where we're on the side of the road for the Lenithel. It's like that gold carapace one, really.
Okay.
Lenithel uniformis. It's really, really
Oh,
pretty, black and gold. And everybody's, taking turns with photos, and he's got his macro lens, and he's getting macro shots of the spider's eyes, and he was just so thrilled. It was cool to see him, in his zone, like so thrilled to get these like crisp, beautiful photos of the spider, and he was so stoked over the photos that he got,
oh,
and
I can only imagine. That is so killer.
yeah, yeah, it was
So,
cool. It was cool to see just, really, I don't know how to explain it. Like we're all like, it just seems so professional and like these diehard enthusiasts, like on the side of the road. It's starting to rain, and we're out here taking pictures of it. It was just like really committed people to their craft, and a
yeah.
level of professionalism that was just, and I was grateful to be there,
I bet it
to
was
be a
pretty
part of.
cool to see everybody kind of in their own zone, and doing their thing. So that's really amazing. Um, what you're so lucky.
I agree. Yeah, yeah.
Did did you happen upon any like llamas or anything while you were in Peru as well, or like other wildlife?
Yeah, yeah. One of the places that we were looking for spiders had alpaca. I don't know what the difference is. They're calling them
Oh,
alpacas.
yeah, alpaca.
Yeah, they were right there on the side of the hill where we were flipping rocks. So I got video of us with tarantulas, and there's alpacas 20 feet behind us. You know, so alpaca, pigs, chickens,
Wow.
cows.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of livestock. It's definitely part of the Peruvians' culture or livelihood is all the livestock. Yeah,
Sounds like it,
That's,
yeah.
yeah, right?
and
It's
for
like, yeah,
lunch actually.
we've got alpacas here, so yeah.
You have alpacas there?
We've got, yeah, we farm alpacas and horse creatures, things like that. So yeah, sounds very
Uh,
much like here. We're very livestock orientated in the UK. Yeah,
Alpacas
yeah.
are interesting animals too because they're very vocal from what I remember. Like, so we usually get like a Western stock show here in Denver because Denver's the a really big hub for a lot of things. So, as far as like the West goes, we're right in the middle of all that. And so, of course, during like the Western Stock Show, they bring alpacas in, and they're just so vocal. Did were, were the ones in Peru just as vocal, or because they hum and do all sorts of weird things?
yeah, I don't remember that. I,
Okay,
I don't. I don't remember. I don't even. I don't think I could even imitate the sound that they'd make. Yeah, I can't
yeah, no.
remember. Yeah, yeah, I can't remember that.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah,
It's just a oddball question. Just
yeah, yeah, yeah,
My dream
yeah.
trip is going down the Peruvian Amazon on a boat. I really would love to, And I just stopped where I felt like it was really just getting out and having a mooch around. That's that. So the Peruvian part would have been something I would have loved, but not when it was. I would have preferred to have been more inland into the east, to where it meets the Amazon and Ecuador.
mm,
That would
so
have been
like
awesome.
right at the border.
Rainforest itself.
Yeah.
I would have loved that. I mean, the flipping spiders on a hillside, flipping rock for spiders, that would have creeped me out. If I'd been finding a spider every rock, I would not sleep at all, ever. Especially tarantulas. But, if you go in the jungle and see all sorts of weird stuff. That wouldn't bother me. But the tarantula part, nah. That would very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable with around still.
That's understandable, Simon. They're not for everybody. It's okay. I saw Tom Patterson got bit by a funnel. Yeah. Was it a funnel web spider?
It's by that Lenithil, yeah.
Okay.
Lenithil uniformis. Yeah, a couple fang marks on his hand. Yeah. I guess he didn't get envenomated, I guess. Or didn't seem
lucky.
to. So it's just the pierce the skin, yeah.
So he didn't really get like the full experience of the venom or anything. I was going to ask, like, what kind of symptoms did he have? Like, what's going on? Because I do have, and a lot of people that I know also have linothalate. I'm probably pronouncing it totally wrong, but, the funnel web species, I mean, they're fascinating, awesome spiders, but it would be good to know what to expect from a bite.
Yeah. I don't really remember exactly the situation either. I think that at some point when they were digging it out, it got him. I don't know if he went to grab and it was underneath the rock or something. I don't remember exactly the situation, but yeah, he definitely got bit, but didn't seem to be any symptoms or any sign of envenomation. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Not that I wanted him to get envenomated or anything.
Would have been interesting to witness the effects or to be able to document the effects.
I don't think there's a better person for that. You know what I mean? Like he would have been very detailed and been able to really tell us what was happening there. But all good, no worries.
He said he'd actually never been bit before.
Oh wow, yeah, no, I believe that. So, because I've been keeping for about 5 years, a little over 5 years now, and I still have yet to be bitten. So, knocking on wood, I don't want to be bit, but yeah, I mean, I think that goes to if you respect the tarantula and the spider's body language, and you give them what they need, proper space, proper burrowing substrate, and plenty of hides and stuff like that, then the chances of you being bit is pretty low, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
you
so
don't really mess with them, though, do you? You're not like putting your hands in and messing with the actual animals. So
no, certainly not. I mean,
bitten are really, really low.
Yeah. I mean, I have a couple of species of tarantulas that are actually really curious and will want to come out and hang out on my hand and stuff. Like I have an Aphanopelma chalcodes, I would say she's a subadult. She's taken forever. I've had her for 5 years and she's still not an adult. But she absolutely will come out and want to hang out on my hand and just, venture around. So, even my Grammostola pulchra, she'll do the same thing. She'll come out, she'll come be adventurous, and never had any kind of defensive postures or threat poses or anything from her. So I guess it just depends on the spider, but I mean, I'm not going to go sticking my hand in the, Haplopelma or the, my Cereopagus or, Levitum. I'm not going to put my finger in the burrow. You're just asking for it then, but
she's got one of those. I know she's got one of those, maybe two.
Yeah.
Levidium.
Yeah, they're a beautiful species, absolutely, but they can be very spicy. So
yeah, I keep saying that. I keep telling I keep a lid on.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary.
Yeah.
I Darlingi as well. I think is the other one. I'm a bit,
Oh, the Cereopagus, Ceratogyrus darlingi.
Yeah, whatever you said, Darlingi. Yeah. I can't part of the name of spiders. I just got my head's full of all so many.
Well, you do the same for me with mantises. I don't know mantises very.
I don't do the common names of the spiders.
I appreciate that.
Remember the species rather than genus. So I'll know Darlingia, and I'll know the some of the others, but I don't. I tend not to remember the common names because to me they all look the same. I'm a bit of a spider racist, to be honest. They all look the same. They're hairy, they're ugly, they've got 8 legs, and they're over there most of the time. That's great, But I don't find them exciting at all or anything. It's like oh, it's a spider. If it's more than this, it's no good to me because the mantis can't eat it. So that's my view about the spiders. But now I'm stocking them to sell.
Yes, you are.
I have to pay more interest in them, which I've been feeding them this week, which I've never ever done before, because me in the same room as an open box of tarantulas is something that doesn't happen. But I have been feeding them, and I don't know if I'm feeding them with the right things. I suppose you'd better tell me that, because I've been giving them fruit flies, and they're about 1 centimeter. These guys, so I don't know whether they need more or what.
Yeah, fruit flies are a good source of food for the real little guys. So yeah, that makes total sense. Absolutely.
Oh, so that's okay then. I'm doing okay. Yeah.
Sorry, what?
What else to give them?
Probably use fruit flies for your mantids too.
Only when the first install. After that, I give them roaches.
Cool.
Fruit flies are no good really for mantis, to be honest with you. There's nothing in them. There's nothing in them at all. But spiders seem to enjoy them. They eat them, and so do scorpions. But no good for mantis, no. Not really. It's just convenience for humans, I think, why we give them fruit flies.
Yeah, probably, huh? So, okay, Tyler, about importing and exporting tarantulas, how does that work? How is the system set up, obviously? Because I know you were talking with Richard about that a little bit. And so, I just kind of wanted to touch base on that. Like, how does it work? Do you have to go through a lot of channels, or
I've never done export, so I've only brought into the country instead of never shipped out of the country. Of course, spiders are cheaper in Europe and other places in the world, so it makes sense to buy elsewhere and sell here in the United States. And so you got to have a import license through the Fish and Wildlife, and you got to find somebody that will sell to you. And sometimes these people want like a minimum sale, maybe $10,000 or so,
Wow.
And so you agree to a purchase and maybe make a payment or pay in full, however it works with the person you're buying from.
Okay.
And you set a date, and then you have to report to the Fish and Wildlife, like, hey, I'm bringing in this stuff at this place, and you list out everything that you're bringing in. And so then they'll have an opportunity to inspect the package. Typically, I mean, there's like 20 or so different port of entries around the country where Fish and Wildlife have offices set up to inspect the boxes.
Okay.
And so they'll have opportunity to search through the box, make sure that your quantities are right, that your labels are right. So you work with Fish and Wildlife, and you got to work with a broker who does the custom, because there's a customs clearance side. Like there's all kinds of agencies that regulate import things, Border Patrol, Customs, Fish and Wildlife. There's USDA for like other. Yeah, one time my box got flagged for USDA, which is not, tarantulas and scorpions don't need to go through USDA, but USDA checks like other bugs. I think like butterflies or anything that can
Okay.
affect crops.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so some animals do have to have a USDA license and surge, and so you got to be careful about what you're bringing and what kind of authorities have to be involved and what the process is. So, yeah, it's kind of
Sounds
like
a lot.
it is. Of course, that's kind of where the opportunity lies. It's a lot of red tape and a lot of stuff to sort out and juggle. But of course, that's part of what. I'd say that part of what I get paid to do. Is to
Absolutely.
go through all that hassle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so not sure if I thoroughly answered that. If there's any other parts to it.
You did wonderfully. I appreciate it very much because I've always been kind of curious about that process and how it works. So I'm thankful to people like you, Tyler, who go through all of that, because for me, I wouldn't even do it. So thank you.
Yeah, it's Fish and Wildlife is not very consistent, unfortunately. You'll go to, say, Port of Seattle, and they'll tell me, oh, you can't have anything from Costa Rica, or oh, you can't have anything from Yemen, like Balfouri. And they took stuff before, thousands of dollars in animals they took, which should have been legal. If I go to LA, you can't have anything from Venezuela. So it's like learning too, in my experience, like learning what I can bring and what port. That's I like I feel like I'm cheating or something by doing that, but in reality, there's different places around the country that allow different things through for whatever reason.
Yeah, exactly.
So depending on what I'm bringing, I have to pick which part of the country to bring it in.
Right. Wow. Simon, I know you have something to say. What's up?
No, I'm just amazed because I don't understand why it's a single country, why you don't have one rule for every single port. Like what you can bring in is this, what you can't is this. I don't understand that. That's completely confusing. Because like you say, if you can bring something in from, say, Venezuela, in Maine, for instance, and then post it to LA, what's the difference? You might as well just bring it in LA.
Right.
So what's the difference? Why can't they, like, hard to do this, that's where.
The United States is a pretty big landmass, so each state and each region per se has different crops, different agriculture, that certain species of, like you said, butterfly or things like that can really have a negative impact. And so that's why. And it's actually kind of silly that they would do it regionally like that, because again, just like what you said, yeah, you can bring it through Maine, but you're going to send it to Florida or to Washington or wherever, right? So
yeah, it's no big deal. You can't have somebody a different rule in one state.
Yeah.
But from the state next to it,
right,
and then expects everyone to say, "Oh, we better not take that over the border," because that's not going to happen. That's just that's nonsense.
Well, and it's each state has different restrictions on different things.
Yeah, I've always found America crazy for the way that the way they deal with the states. Also, the other thing that I find crazy with America is your export laws are almost as strict as your import laws.
Oh, absolutely.
Which I find utterly crazy. Like if I wanted to buy a thinker for Chinese mantis, that isn't, let me get this right now, that isn't even a native of the USA.
No.
So it's actually an invasive species. But if I wanted to buy a thinker from you guys, I have to pay extra tax. And it's like, why? I'm offering to get rid of an invasive species from you, right? For free, I'll take it. And you're saying, oh no, you have to pay extra for that. And it's not even yours. It's just, it just blows my mind the way they will just stop things at the border. Like if I want to send something to France,
Sure.
I can put it in a box and I can stick it in the post office and send it to France.
Well,
It's
and
like,
that's one thing that I do like about Europe is that you guys are so very interconnected. It's not, you know what I mean? Like it's you can get to France on a train and it's not very costly. Whereas here in the States, it can be quite an expense just to travel between the states. So that's one thing you guys do right.
I have no idea, Tyler, how you can cope with all the import nonsense
Mm,
and the costs. Like I've got a friend in California who has a bookshop, and I've seen the prices he sells things for, and I'm always like amazed that some of them are 10 times the price of what we would pay here.
hmm
And I'm like, wow. And then he explains the export and import and all the rest of it, and I go, oh yeah, that's why. And
Yeah.
it's I don't know how you even have a hobby over there with that sort of money that you have to pay for things.
Because of thankfully because dedicated enthusiasts like Tyler, like Tom Patterson and people like me who are willing to send mature mails to places that need them and um thankfully I think the hobby sustains itself in that aspect because we're yeah, I may live in Colorado, but I go on Spender or something and we can find a female here or a male there of a species that we need. So I mean, we're kind of interconnected in that way. It's just there's a few loops and kind of guidelines that you have to follow. But for the most part, it's okay. Mm, I don't know.
You know what, Tyler? Do you know, like, I don't know how your shows work, but there's a lot of shows in the UK. There's a lot of invert shows, hell of a lot of spider shows in the UK. When you do shows over there, do you go to a lot of shows? Do you just stay in the one state, or do you go like across the country doing to different
So,
shows in different states? Or
well, that depends on the vendors. So each vendor has the choice of going to each show that okay, so you'll have basically the main people of the show. So like we'll just use Repticon as an example. They're going to have a schedule of all the states and places and cities that they're going to be. Now the vendor is going to pay that conglomerate essentially to have like tables and booths, and they can go as many tables and booths as they want all throughout the cities. But each table and booth, of course, is going to cost like a certain amount of fee, and so they can and they have to travel themselves, right? So I do know quite a few like local vendors here in Denver who really only hit like the Denver shows. Maybe sometimes Kansas or like Utah, surrounding states. Um, but otherwise, like there are some pretty good vendors and like big vendors that will go all over the nation. Um, but I would say like, for let's say Spider Shop, Tyler, it was really great for him to come to Denver, but he doesn't always do that. Sometimes he'll go to this show or to California or so it's really up to the vendors. Um, and so that's kind of how that works. Does that answer your question?
yeah, so it must be quite difficult though. I mean, with America being such a big country,
It
like
can be, yeah.
you'd be on the road every day, wouldn't you? If you went to all the shows, I should imagine.
And Tyler might be able you probably know better than I do, just like how that kind of works and like the best ways to go about it.
Yeah, just from personal experience, I know there's vendors that'll do shows. They don't have much of an online presence or
Mm,
not big business online, and they depend on the shows for their income and their
hmm
sales, and they'll travel long distance to go to shows all the time, and that's their main income is shows.
Interesting.
Um, but for me, yeah, a lot of the local shows are a nice payout sometimes, but the shows for us for Spider Shop are more of like a like a marketing and a promotional thing.
Mhm.
A lot of the shows we do, Denver was decent, but sometimes the sales at the show just covers the cost of being there,
Yeah.
and so it's just about being out there, meeting Leah and meeting other enthusiasts and customers, right? And so for me, I'd like to, like, we went to Pennsylvania this past year, looking to do North Carolina later this year,
Cool.
and kind of just hitting around the country, just to make an appearance, to show face, to meet people, to
Yeah.
promote, and that's kind of the driving force for me to do the shows, is the marketing or promotion, not necessarily the sales that I would get.
Yeah, that makes total sense because I like to go to shows, essentially just to network and to, talk with people in the hobby and kind of get, obviously I proposed to you about, being on the show, being on the podcast. So that's kind of what I do. I just network and find people to interview and you know, um, and of course I, occasionally bring home animals and stuff, but yeah, shows are definitely a little different here, Simon.
Yeah, it just I speak to a lot of people and they say, "Oh, we haven't got this show, we haven't got that show, you haven't got that many shows
Yeah.
towards here," because it seems like here, like every other week, there's an invert show,
Yeah.
specifically an invert show, not
Right.
just there's not reptiles or not. We even have a specific tarantula shows.
Oh wow.
Which are for the old UK, like the British Tarantula Society and stuff like that, old shows. And funny enough, the guy who runs all the invertebrate shows, I think there's 5 or 6 every year
Uh-huh.
in different parts of the country, is hosted by the Spider Shoppe, the UK Spider Shoppe.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's a
That's
lot
really
of
cool.
so many shows. You can't go to all. Sorry,
It's
Tyler.
That's happening now in our local area. We're totally getting washed out with so many shows, which is, I don't think it's a benefit to the vendor.
hmm.
No.
No, I don't. I got 100% agree with you because you're like, if you're going to get tables at the show, you're like, should I get tables there, or people are going to hold on to the money and not go to that one and go to this one instead.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a bit hit and miss. I think now when there's a lot of shows, it does get a bit hit and miss. Doesn't that everybody has money to go to all the shows?
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine going to like all of the shows for the Show Me Reptiles shows, you know what I mean, would be quite a venture, but also like that's what you would really have to focus on, and that would be pretty much all you do. So I'm glad for the local vendors here, but I also really really love when I get to see vendors from other, outside obviously. So yeah, I mean, it's shows are great. I love going to them. I love, being a part of that. And eventually I will have an Inverticast booth. So I'm working on doing that probably within the next year or so. I'll have my own booth. So that'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully we can get Simon in with the Zoom call or something.
I might actually do that next month, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah. If we want to broadcast from the show, I think that
I
would be
have
fun.
tables in Bristol in August.
Okay.
So I might have to get something and put something on the table I'm not even going. Somebody else is running the tables for me because Bristol's like 5 hours away from me, and it's too much. So I just send in the animals, and they're going to set the table and stuff. So I might see what I can do about. I haven't even got any promo stuff for myself, to be honest.
Sure.
To put on the table, because I usually just fill them full of animals.
Yeah.
So I don't get any promo cards or stands or anything. It's just animals, complete. Wall. That's it,
Of course.
I'll have to have a look though and see. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll have a look at that.
Cool.
Check that out.
Well,
Yeah.
we're down to like the last 5 minutes of the show, so let's do our shameless plugs. What do you guys say? Tyler, I'll go ahead and let you start. Do you have anything that you want to promote? Anything coming up this week or month or year, whatever it is? Go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, summer kind of is always a challenge, I think, for vendors. It's kind of a slower season. I think this is a good time to be a buyer. I think there's a lot of sales going on, a lot of discounts. And we're doing a sale on our Peruvian species this weekend. So it's 33% off on all of the Peruvian species. That's at spidershoppe.com. Yeah. And we're going to be vending at the Puyallup show in Puyallup, Washington. This is July 13th and 14th.
Beautiful.
And then 2 weeks later, we'll be in Anaheim, California for the Reptile Super Show. So that's the end of July. And that's our near future for Spider Shoppe. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if you're in the Anaheim area and you want to meet Tyler, go to that cool show in Anaheim. I think he's awesome. I was so glad I got to meet you in person. It was really cool talking with you and like, getting a chance to network.
Yeah, likewise, Leah. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. All right, Simon, what do you got going on?
Loads. Loads of stuff. We've got the Great Ants exhibition tables there in August the 3rd, but don't quote me on it because I can't remember.
Okay.
We've just started new lines of mystery boxes, which will be mantis mystery boxes, which will be mantis and tarantulas in them, which is should be fun. ISO mantis mystery boxes do okay, so why not try that mantis mystery box to see if that's any good. Still making a documentary on deadly mantis.
Cool.
But not getting the time due to this lot demanding it. And yes, and football's on very shortly, so I'm also, because I'm European, you have to watch the football whether you like it or not. And that's
Go Manchester United.
No, not that football. England.
No? Okay.
England.
Cool. Let's see. I am finishing up actually quite a few videos. I'm just doing some voiceovers and stuff, so be watching on my channel because I do have an unboxing that I'm going to be releasing of the Spider Shoppe. So watch for that because it's coming out this week. Otherwise, that's really all I got going on. I'm just, glad to be home, but got a lot to do. Got to make sure these guys get fed,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Simon, for joining us, and thank you so much, Tyler, for coming on the podcast and talking all about, Tom and Richard and Peru and Spider Shoppe, and we absolutely love it. And anytime you want to come back on, you are more than welcome. So yeah, we'll see you in the future. And guys, go get those Peruvian species off of the Spider Shoppe, 33% off. That's pretty rad. So yeah, check it out. Thank you again.
Thanks, Leah. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you, Tyler. Nice to meet you, mate.
Yeah, good to meet you. Thank you.